The costumes and set designs, the cinematography and acting, it's something special. And let's not forget the dialogue. Now that is downright marvelous. But what challenges do the cast face behind the scenes? See what it takes to pull off those incredible one-shot action sequences.
It's challenging.
Also, hear about Rachel Brosnahan's job-related injury and the time Michael Zegen broke an important rule.
I'm sorry, I
Let's kick off with rule number 1, which is pretty much about following this motto: suffer for your art. Mrs. Maisel's wardrobe evolves with her, and she wears the most splendid outfits throughout the show. Undoubtedly, we can all agree that the costumes play a massive role in bringing New York 1950s to life. Not just for Miriam, but for everyone on the series, extras included. The designer behind the period-perfect outfits is Donna Zakowska. She already won 2 Emmys for her work on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and 2 of her costumes are in the Smithsonian. It's no wonder that Rachel Brosnahan is awestruck by Midge's costumes and how they're made from scratch. The actress admitted she would love nothing more than to take all of her characters' coats home. But although she's in love with Midge's look and even gets to collaborate with costume designer Donna, elegance comes with a hefty price tag. In this case, it turns out Rachel's ribs had to pay. The show's mastermind, writer Amy Sherman-Palladino, admitted that beauty is pain.
She wears clothes that are basically a torture chamber.
On The Late Late Show with James Corden, Brosnahan herself revealed the dark side of her costumes.
I actually got kind of a corset-related injury.
Because she has to talk so fast on the show, she can't take many breaths, and the corset constraining her just made matters worse.
And apparently, some of my ribs are sort of fused together a little bit, and I can't take super deep breaths anymore. That's fun.
Unfortunately, there's no way around it. Those period costumes would not work without period undergarments, and Brosnahan's bras and corsets aren't going anywhere. Rachel admitted her corsets probably aren't nearly as tight as those someone in the 50s would actually be wearing, so she gained a newfound appreciation for women of the time.
I don't believe that women drank water then, because you cannot pee with all of the contraptionage that goes on underneath those clothes.
The following rule is par for the course, and it applies mostly to 2 cast members. Get a crash course in comedy. It's hard to believe, but Brosnahan had no comedic background before strapping on her Maisel corset for the first time. On the other hand, her co-star Alex Borstein, aka Suzie, is not only a talented actress and writer, but also a comedian. She performed her first stand-up comedy act at the age of 16 and has since appeared in many comedy shows. Watch any panel interview with Borstein in it, and you may just pass out laughing at her dry humor. For Rachel, though, it was a completely different story.
This is my first foray into comedy, so I tried to immerse myself in the world of 1950s stand-up.
For Brosnahan, playing the role of a housewife turned stand-up comic went hand in hand with lots of preparation. She did extensive research into that era and immersed herself in the work of Joan Rivers, Phyllis Diller, Jean Carroll, and Carol Burnett. It also helped that she has a few friends in comedy. On top of that, the actress attended amateur comedy nights to observe. But observe only, not participate.
Abso-fucking-lutely not. No. If you play a doctor on TV, you should probably not try to perform surgery.
Brosnahan opened up about how hard this new challenge had really been. Even though she 100% aces the role and makes you think she's a real-life stand-up comic, Rachel is the epitome of humility. She even admitted that she personally struggles with a lack of confidence in her work and constantly second-guesses herself. I'm performing in front of more and more people every time I get up on stage, and it's horrifying. It never gets less horrifying. She certainly does a great job of hiding her stage fright. The next rule is arguably the toughest one of them all. Don't mess up your dialogue. You know all those impressive one-shot action sequences and multi-page oneers? Well, they are anything but easy to pull off, and beware if you're the cast member who messed something up. Let's take that epic one-shot switchboard sequence at the opening of Season 2 as an example. M David Mullen, the show's director of photography, will be the first to tell you that it posed many challenges. To pull this one off, the team planned for about 3 weeks before actually filming it. As Mullen explained, the camera's speed is limited by the human behind it. The biggest challenge was acting in such a tight space. They had to fit 12 actors, 2 crew members, and all the equipment into that room. The actresses had to lean their heads back so they wouldn't get hit in the face. Can you imagine being the one who messes something up during such a long sequence?
And you talk about those oneers, the 8-page oneer. You're right, when there's 11 moving pieces, you do not
want to be the reason we're going again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talking about how the cast handle those wordy theatrical scenes, one thing is clear. It's not by improvising. Brosnahan explained that improv just isn't necessary, thanks to Sherman Palladino's writing talent.
Word perfect, exactly as it was written, down to the if and the.
Knowing that, the pressure to get your dialogue right becomes crystal clear, and the cast all had to deal with the inevitable mistakes. After all, they're just human.
Every time, if any of us dropped a line, or if the kid made a noise, or moved to the left, we had to start over.
We'd say the next rule is pretty standard at any job. Never steal from the set. Unless the stolen item brings you joy and you don't do it twice. Brosnahan came clean about her souvenir from the set of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. In season 3, Midge and Suzie go to Vegas. I may or may not have stolen a handful of poker chips that are in my living room. The actress explained that they really brighten her day whenever she looks at them, and while she certainly can't cash them in at any local casinos, the chips remind Rachel of just how much care goes into designing each scene of the show. Now that she's exposed herself, though, she won't be taking anything else from the set anytime soon. What we're about to tell you isn't written into the cast contract as such, but it's certainly a major challenge for two poor souls. Deal with criticism like a pro. Michael Zegen went into the show thinking he'd be playing a straightforward villain, so he knew critique would come with the territory. Still, Zegen had to get used to having a bad rap in real life too. Michael, who's a nice guy if we've ever seen one, has to deal with nasty fans who don't make the distinction between fiction and real life. He's no stranger to viewers coming up to him in his daily life and accusing him of leaving Midge.
What did you do? Why did she was perfect.
It's true. People hate him. Or, I mean, I was on the show Boardwalk Empire, and I played Bugsy Siegel, who killed numerous people. I shot a kid in the face, and yet people always come up to me, they're like, love your character, man.
It looks like Zegen is coping okay, and when he's having a hard time, the whole cast is there to support him. But have you heard about how he broke one cardinal rule before he even started playing in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? Just joking. It wasn't really a strict rule, but he never watched Sherman Palladino's Gilmore Girls. And Brosnahan couldn't believe her ears when he admitted to it. On top of the difficult fans, not even Rachel could escape the pretty unfounded criticism, some of it directed at her own look. Yeah, apparently some viewers were disappointed when they realized she's naturally blonde in real life. At a Marvelous Mrs. Maisel meet and greet, a woman made a point of telling Rachel that she doesn't look anything like Midge. The lady also commented on how Brosnahan doesn't sound like her character either. It doesn't end there. Many fans of the series are split on whether they're in Camp Joel, Camp Benjamin, or Camp Lenny. It's so intense that Rachel even suffers from it.
There's a lot of Benjamin stans. I've been getting abused on the Instagram about Zach not being in the cast photo.
On top of that, Midge and Joel respectively have been criticized for their parenting skills. No surprises there. Zegen pointed out the double standards, saying that it's unfair since people rarely accuse his character of being a bad father. They only zoom in on the mother. On that note, it's time to bid you farewell. Until next time, thanks for watching, and don't forget to stay awesome.